Welcome lore lovers to another episode of Gaming Bios, where we deliver canonical character bios from titles of the most popular variety to the more obscure. I'm your host, Eric Brown, and today we'll be covering a curious little creature who's none shy on her cunning and a bit on the ferocious side. Today, we'll be covering Neeko, the curious chameleon from League of Legends.
Neeko is joyful to become you.
League of Legends is a well-known game throughout the world, with millions of viewers and even more in revenue. Although the lore of some of the earlier characters has changed and molded with the narration that Riot Games has created, there are some newer characters whose lore has been untouched since their release. Today, we're going to talk about Neeko, the curious chameleon. Now, if you've been living under a rock and are not familiar with League of Legends, I suggest you check out the lore section on their website. It has some great stories that may spark your interest in playing the game. Just be sure to mute everyone. Neeko comes from the race called the Vetsaya, a sapient subrace of human and Vetsaya Shuri. In fact, Neeko is the closest looking character in League of Legends to the Vetsaya Shuri race, despite being part of the Ovikat tribe, a tribe that splintered off from the Vetsaya tribes very early on and have known to have largely lived in isolated areas. This makes Neeko's tribe have pure magic and seemingly smaller amounts of human blood in their tribe's lineage. But before we jump completely into Neeko's background, there are some other notable Vetsayan characters in the League of Legends game. Characters such as Ahri, Nami, Rengar, Wukong, Xayah, and Rakan. These characters are all members of the half-human, half-Vetsayan Rashid bloodline, and many have interacted with other League of Legends heroes in the lore. The best way to describe Neeko and her kind is as a human chimeric hybrid race. Each character shares human and animal characteristics. Neeko is no different. Neeko's animal characteristics just happen to be those of a chameleon. Her skin has the slick appearance of a chameleon with colorful scales and almost tribal-like hue all over her body. She appears to be a person in her teens when she's actually somewhere closer to 200 years old. She has colorful hair and numerous glands protruding from her head that are used to capture Shoma, or the spiritual essence of others. She has large opaque yellow eyes with small pupils that almost resemble the big eyes paintings of Margaret King. She wears tribal clothing and walks around barefoot while dragging her rather large and colorful tail behind her. No one knows what caused Neeko to leave her home, but many presume that some sort of catastrophe happened causing her to flee. This seems to happen a lot in League of Legends lore. She happened upon a ship headed to Heraldport where she met Nidalee, a human shapeshifter. And despite some bad blood early on, the two formed a bond and traveled together for many months before splitting and taking different paths, Neeko's leading her to the Noctian outpost at Kalduga. Shapeshifting as several of the soldiers because she is a chameleon after all, Neeko made her way through the outpost, eventually causing a ruckus and a full-blown battle as soldiers began to kill each other thinking that their target was Neeko, or as the troops referred to her, the monster of Kalduga outpost. Neeko eventually escaped the outpost and now she is fully a part of the League of Legends. And there you have it. We haven't had any lore updates concerning Neeko after the escape from Kalduga outpost, but we like to assume that eventually Riot will give us more. After all, there's a whole world to explore. And just a few side facts about Neeko. She was released December 5th, 2018 as a mage/support. She was the 142nd champion released, and lastly, Neeko likes to wave at jungle champion when she walks near them in game, which is so Neeko, I guess. This has been another episode of Gaming Bios. If you like what we're doing, please hit the like button, and if you're not already subscribed, we'd love to add another lore lover to the family. This episode was written by Billy Scallions and all research credits are listed in the comments. And while you're down there, let us know what obscure characters you'd like to see us cover next. Until next time, lore lovers.